Hi, now we'll be looking at the Leetcode question 209, which is minimum size subarray sum. This needs you to return the minimal length of the subarray whose sum is greater than or equal to the target that is given in the question. So to solve this kind of questions, if you had seen my last video, I had posted about the sliding window approach. So yes, you can solve it through the brute force approach as well, but considering the time complexity, and since we already have this technique, we can make use of that. And yeah, so the idea is basically you take two pointers, which is left and right, and then you iterate through the array using the right, using a for loop, which is a normal for loop, and you start the left and right at the same index, which is 0. And then as right iterates, the left will, whether the left should iterate or not, will depend upon whether the window is valid or not. So for example, here, uh, the valid window that we'll see the valid window, which one here is the valid one. So the left and right here starts at the index 0, and then the right iterates through the nums. So at index 0, the sum would be, of course, we're taking a variable sum. So we're adding nums of right to the sum. And when you add uh, 2 to the sum, which is 0, you'll get a sum of 2. And then when right is at index 1, you get the sum of 5. When right is at index 2, you get the sum of 6. All these three, as you iterate, you basically keep checking the sum, which is if it is greater than greater than or equal to the target. So here, until here, the sum is still less than the target. Now, when the right reaches this index, I mean this one, so the left is at 0 and the right is at 0, 1, 2, 3. So the right is at 3 and the left is at 0. The sum here we get is 5 plus 1 plus 2, which is 8. When we get the 8 8, we have the 8 sum. So it is basically greater than the target. So this is our valid window. So this is how we check if this is a valid window or not. If someone had asked us to return just the uh, valid window, we could just return this. But the point here is for us to return the minimum length of the subarray. So we have to keep right at the 3 index and then keep incrementing the left to check which minimum window out of that valid window uh, is our answer. So yeah, so your left is at 0 and right is at 3. So you keep iterating the left and see whether the sum is greater than or equal to 7. In this particular window, we have the sum as 8, and if you drop the left one, which is 2, 8 minus 2 is 6. So the sum would be 6 now. So the 6 is not greater than 7. So it'll basically come out with a while loop, which has the condition whether the sum is greater than or equal to target, and it'll come out with the while loop, and then your right increments. So now your new window will be this, because left we have incremented left, and the left is at 1 and right is at 4. 2, 3, 4. Yes, the right is at 4 and the left is at 1. Now we will see whether this sum is greater than or equal to 7, which is 4, 6, and 10. Yes. So now again we have to increment the left only because this window is valid. Now if you decrement, if you take out 3 from the sum, we get 3. Okay, this is 10, right? So 4, 6, yeah. 10 minus 7 would be 7, which is greater than or equal to 7. So this again is a valid window. So, and then you'll drop 3 and then you'll add these 3 and then check. So this window is also valid. So no, now the minimal subarray length with sum greater than or equal to 7 is 1, 2, 4. So now we'll again uh, increment left and see if this sum is greater than or equal to 7. So 2 plus 4 will be 6, which is less than 7, and which is, I mean, it's less than the target. So we will increment the left, which comes from this position to this position, and the right will go to this. So the final um, subarray that is equal or greater than or equal to the target will be 4 and 3. Now we'll see how we'll code that. We'll take the left variable as 0, and then we'll traverse through the nums. Okay, now we have to so we also need to take the variable sum. Now you add nums of right to sum, and then let's try and print it once. Okay, at every point you're getting the sum, which is 2 at this point, 5 at this point, 6 at this point, 8 at this point, 12, 15. So yes, it's being added right. And then now we have to check if your window is valid. We have to, okay, let's take the variable as sum and not sum, because it's an inbuilt function apparently. So so if the sum is greater than or equal to target, that means we have the valid window. You can, after you have the valid window, you basically have to increment the left, right? So I'll do this, but before that you have to also decrease your left element, whichever one you're dropping from the sum. Nums of left. Now you will return the length of the subarray which is valid, but we are using a minimum of the length that we'll take here. We'll initialize the length with sorry, with infinity, so that we get the minimum out of uh, we'll take the minimum out of right minus left plus 1 and the length. But we probably are not covering all the test cases, but let's see. So yes, we got our, the few test cases are valid. And then the case 3, which has the nums of all of them are equal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 is the sum of the total array, but the target is 11, so it's not even reaching it. What we can do here is um, so we're not able to. Okay, wait. I think you can just print the length and not instead of. Yeah, so the length that we are printing here after the for loop ended is infinity. So I think the issue here is will probably return 0 if length equal to infinity, else will return length. Yes. Now it got accepted. Let's see if it will get submitted and pass all the test cases. Yeah, it did, but the complexity is more. So yes. So yeah, 60 is good enough. Okay, that's it. That's the way you solve the minimum size subarray sum. This is again a case of where you check if so the while loop inside here is to check if the checks if the window is valid. So in the previous sum, sim previous similar sliding window sum, we have used the while loop to see if the window is invalid. But here we are seeing if it is valid, and then determining the length of the minimal length of the subarray. So yes, that's it. This is one of the variable window size sliding window. Okay.